Unlike the sum of two squares that is not factorable, irreducible, prime, we can factor the sum of two cubes. We can also factor the difference of two cubes, and there's a formula. Once you recognize that you have cubes that you're adding together, so a cubed is a cube of a, b cubed is a cube of b, that's going to allow you to write a binomial and a trinomial. The a and the b will fall into place right here. And then, this is how I remember it. It's kind of like a karaoke ball. So we have bouncy, bouncy, bouncy over. So it's kind of like a karaoke ball. You know, when you're singing karaoke and you say the word that the ball lands on, that's what this is doing, and the ball bounces from word to word. So here you just have to remember, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy over, bouncy, 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 bouncy over, bouncy, bouncy. So the bouncy, bouncy means a times a. A times a is a squared. So bouncy, bouncy, that's a squared. Bouncy over, that's a times b. Bouncy, bouncy is a squared. Bouncy over is a times b. And then bouncy, bouncy is b times b, which is b squared. So here we have bouncy, bouncy, bouncy over, bouncy, bouncy. So a times a times b, b times b. A times a times b, b times b. And then we have what we call SOAP. Okay, same sign. So sum of two cubes, you're going to pick the same sign, that's S. Then you have the opposite of whatever you just did, so that would be a negative. And then always positive. Same, opposite, always positive. And you can see that this is exactly what we did here. So let me show you with numbers. And this is why cubes, knowing your cubes is really good idea. Let's say that we have x cubed plus 8. X cubed plus 8. Let's make sure that that's not going to be a problem that I'm going to do. X cubed plus 8. Nope, good. So x cubed plus 8. So we recognize that x cubed is a cube of x, and 8 is a cube of 2. So this is going to equal a binomial times a trinomial. And we're going to have x and 2 fall into place right there. That's your binomial. And then we're going to have bouncy, bouncy, bouncy over, bouncy, bouncy. So here you go. Bouncy, bouncy, that's going to be x squared. Bouncy over, that's going to be x times 2, which is 2x. And then bouncy, bouncy, 2 times 2 is 4. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. And 2 times 2 is 4. And then we're going to have the same sign. Opposite of that sign, always positive. So that's how that works with numbers. Here's the difference of two cubes. Difference of two cubes is the same thing. We do our bouncy, bouncy. So a cubed is a cube of a, b cubed is a cube of b. So a and b fall right into that binomial. And then bouncy, bouncy would be a times a. Bouncy over would be a times b. And then bouncy, bouncy would be b squared. It seems kind of silly, but, you know, it works for me, and it's worked for lots of other students. It's helped them remember. Same sign as what we started with. This was the difference of two cubes, so that would be a negative. And then the opposite of a negative is a positive, and then always positive. See, same sign, opposite, always positive. So let's do this with some numbers. x cubed minus 125. That's our first example. X cubed minus 125. Well, x cubed is a cube of x, and 125 is a cube of 5. So x and 5 will go into the binomial, and then we're going to have a trinomial. Bouncy bouncy gives us x squared. Bouncy over gives us x times 5, which is 5x. And then bouncy bouncy, 5 times 5 is 25. And then we have the same sign, opposite of that sign, and then always positive. Now this trinomial here, if there's no greatest common factor, this trinomial is no longer factorable. So this right here is irreducible. So that quadratic will never be further factorable as long as you don't have a greatest common factor. Okay, let's try another. That was interesting. It just crashed. Let's see. It really crashed. It crashed right there. It doesn't have any of that problem left. So let me just write it in here. X minus 5, and then x squared plus 5x plus 25. There we go. Okay, let's try this next problem. Factor 8 plus a minus 2 quantity cubed. Okay, well, 8 is a cube of 2, and a minus 2 quantity cubed is a cube of a minus 2. So in my binomial, I'm going to write this big because I'm going to have that a minus 2. I'm going to have 2 and a minus 2. So bouncy bouncy says 2 times 2. Well, that's 4. And then bouncy over would be 2 times a minus 2. And then bouncy bouncy would be a minus 2 quantity squared. And then we would have same sign, opposite, and then always positive. Now we can further simplify this. So this is factored. So this is our unsimplified factored form. So what I would do is I would look at my answer key and I would see how far I need to take my answer. If this was the answer in the answer key, I would say, check, I'm done. But if it doesn't look exactly like this, I know that I have to do a little bit more work. Well, 2 plus a minus 2 is just an a. Because 2 minus 2 cancels out, it's 0. And then what we have over here is we have 4 minus 2a plus 4. I'm going to distribute that negative 2. Plus a minus 2 quantity squared is going to be a squared minus 4a plus 4. So we've got one factor is a, and then the next factor I'm going to write in descending order. A squared is first. Negative 2a minus 4a is negative 6a. And then 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12. And that could also be an answer, and that is the simplified answer. Simplified factored form. So you're just going to have to check your answer key and see how far in the answer some of these problems go. And if you need to keep simplifying, keep simplifying. It's good algebraic practice, and that's likely why they're there. Okay, in the next video, we're going to come back to these quadratic in nature problems because they pop up all over the place, and we want to get really, really good at factoring them.